Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in a prior video we had the opportunity to look at some brand new knives from the company Shieldon Knives. Now Shieldon Knives is a brand new company themselves, just coming to the market. They reached out to me for some technical advice and some experience looking at their knives and trying to give them some overall general feedback. And with that said, they're also reaching out to all of you. So with this video, what we're going to do today, well, we've already gotten a preliminary look at these models, but that first look really brought some questions to mind. And what I would say is you definitely get a different impression from a company once you start taking things apart and really looking at them in detail. So today we do have 4 models that we have already taken a look at in the past, but today's video a full disassembly of each one of these to drive a little further detailed discussion about the construction, the fit and finish, and some of the details that I think are going to be just a little bit interesting and worth discussing. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you, and if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Shieldon Knives who did provide these products for review. Now again, keep in mind, we have already taken a look at these knives, so if you are interested in seeing these in the preliminary detail, do me a favor and go back and take a look at one of my prior videos. But that video did lead me to some questions about some of the construction. Now, not necessarily a bad thing, just questions that I really wanted to answer. And I also do feel as though once you start taking knives apart, and especially folders, also yes, fixed blades, but especially folders, you do learn a lot about the company. What are they paying attention to? What are the little subtle details? And when you kind of get behind the scales, what does that construction and the fit and finish look like? We're going to learn a lot about Shieldon today. So I have all of my tools, I have everything laid out, and we're ready to go, and we are going to look at each one of these. So this here, the Empoleon, the Barra Scooter, the Boa, and my personal favorite, the Tortank. Now, again, we are going to fully disassemble these, but with that said, let's get into it. And so as we get into this here, I am coming at this from the, I would say, perspective of the service representative. So for those of you who are not familiar, I am the U.S. territory service representative for Best Tech Knives. So I do have a lot of experience taking these apart, servicing them, going through all the parts, and using the tools required to do a lot of the service work. So my, I would say, like general philosophy and overall perspective might be just a little bit different than the typical user, but at the same time practical nonetheless. And so here we have the Empoleon. This is the first one we're going to take a look at, and as we get into it here, I'm expecting most things should be pretty standard, with the one caveat being I already know that the clip is using what I would consider to be a fairly non-standard T7 bolt to hold on the clip. So these clip screws here, again being a T7. Now, I don't necessarily have a standard driver, but luckily for me, I do have a T7 in one of my kits, so that should do what I need to do. And so here, as I mentioned, this is a T7, which is not typically standard. Usually you'll see either a T6 or a T8, but you can see here the T7 on that clip screw fitting absolutely perfect. So that is the size that you need. And so I am going to literally fully disassemble these today. So getting into this, and that is tight. And I need to be careful not to strip this. So I'm going to actually use a shorter driver here as to not put way more torque on this than I need. So here, these are in there very tight, And I wonder if they are Loctited, which they might be. I do have concerns about stripping these, but part of me says if you're going to strip them, you kind of want to figure this out, right? So there we go. I got that one to move. And no damage, which is awesome. And you can see there, it's not Loctite, but sometimes companies do use a little bit of glue. So I believe what you're seeing there is just a little glue on the end of the threads, which means if they are stubborn, sometimes you can heat that up if you're careful. I don't really need to remove the clip, but I would like to. And there we go. So I was able to get this off without any damage. And so I was able to get this off without any damage, but again, you can see there that just has some glue. So that's the first thing, is these are not going to be the easiest to come off. My personal preference is no Loctite, no glue. Bottom line is, well, I think, at least in the US market, I believe customers are going to take their knives apart. So why make it difficult and really put the risk of stripping the bolts? And I don't think that if these are properly torqued in the first place, you really need to worry about them coming out by accident. That's just my personal opinion. So I would say, first things first, we could probably do without the glue or Loctite. But now removing the clip, very straightforward, just a simple steel clip, not too much to it. And so now as we get into the frame, you can see here it does have 2 bolts on each side, and then also your pivot screw having the ability to get the star bit on either side or both sides. And I think that's definitely an advantage when you need to take these apart or really dial in the action. You can see right now this is perfectly centered, which is nice, and the action is fantastic. So out of the box, this definitely coming in nice and dialed in, but at this point we are going to take it apart. Now these frame screws here, these are T6s. So getting on this with my T6, and let's see. These are no problem. So these come right out, which is nice. And it does not appear as though there's any of that glue. And simply removing these, no problem. Now you can see the difference between the screws. The dark ones from the clip, very magnetic, and these more stainless. So as you can see here, just a little example, these stainless ones from the frame just bouncing around, but the clip, stick. These are straight up steel. So granted, these have the black coating on them, but over time, will they rust? Hard to say. We will find out. And then continuing on here, we'll get this thing literally completely disassembled. So removing all of the frame screws. Now I can tell you already, because this one here is spinning, there's probably a spacer inside the frame, which is actually holding the back spacer in place. So that is literally just spinning in place right now. This one here may already be stripped. It's close. If I'm not careful, that will strip out on me. So again, that's a T6. And getting on the pivot screw here with a T8. Yep. So that's a T8. That is very tight. On that side and on this side, let's see. Extremely, extremely tight. So I need to be careful here. It does seem as though there may be some sort of a thread lock on the pivot here. So we got to just be careful. And that's a double-edged sword. It's kind of nice where your pivot's not going to loosen up on you, but it makes it difficult where you can't easily get the knife apart. And unfortunately, for cleaning purposes, I know a lot of people may want to get this completely open and apart for lubrication, general maintenance. So we got to be careful. So I need 2 T8s at this point to carefully get this apart. So now getting on this with 2 T8s, I am twisting pretty hard, and I think I pretty much stripped out my bit, which is surprising because you'd think usually you'd strip the screw first. Ooh. Yeah. Yep. That's no good. So that right there did me no good at all. I can't tell if I'm stripping my bit or the head, but this may put the whole rest of the project in jeopardy if this is damaging my tools. So already I can tell you I am not a fan of how tight this is on the pivot screw to get that out. Now, unfortunately, I literally just have one more bit here, but I don't know, looking at the screw, it doesn't look completely stripped out, but it definitely did some damage to my tools, which that makes me a little bit upset, but it is what it is. So one more try here. So that is just literally not gonna go. So unfortunately, this is spinning on me. Yeah, that's definitely damaged. My T6 is here, just kind of spinning on me. My T8s just don't want to come apart. And I might almost get an impact driver and try that. Let's give that a shot. So this is literally a T8 star bit on an impact drill. Uh-oh. Oh, I got it. All right, so at least the whole thing now is spinning. But, oh man, this is asking for some serious problems. If this was a customer's knife, I'd be sending them a new one. Okay, as I was. Glutton for punishment. 2 times the charm. Let's do this again. This is not going to end well. I'm ruining all my bits. But oh man. No. This is not gonna go. This is just making a hellacious mess. So the Empoleon. Oh, and you can see here now. The action is all kinds of messed up. Oh man, what a disaster. I wonder what even happened on the inside here. Ugh. This thing is all kinds of gummed up. I don't know. Bad luck on this. And my tool is literally totally toast. I mean, that thing is completely rounded out now. And that sucks. So the Empoleon, you can see, I'm just stuck. Moving on. So now here, this is the Barra Scooter. So the same thing's going to happen with the clip screws, so I don't feel as though I need to take these apart. But the frame here is slightly different sizes, so I definitely have T8s. Yep, these are T8s here on the frame. So taking a look, that's a T8, and that looks to be spinning on me. I don't know if it's technically loosening up or not. I don't think I can use my actual driver anymore without, yeah, maybe. No, that's gonna spin and really cause a problem. So let's see if I can see what's going on here. I suspect that there are spacers inside here that, unfortunately, unless you have two tools, are gonna spin. But yeah, so that's exactly what's happening. As I'm spinning this side is moving, which means I need 2 bits. Oh, and I might be out of T8s because I just literally trashed my setup, which is going to be frustrating. So I need to see if I can dig. I got some T10s. What do I have left here? I got a scrounge. I think I am pretty much smoked in the bit department, unfortunately. And these things are literally just spinning on me, which is wicked frustrating. And as a service technician, I can tell you this would drive me nuts. And I would legitimately end up giving customers knives over not being able to take them apart for little things that should be serviceable. So not being able to take the bolts apart, in my opinion, is a very big deal. And literally, I now need to buy myself replacement tools, which I'm not thrilled about, but that's what I do for the science and to understand what we're getting into here. So let's see. The one thing I can try to do is maybe get the pivot screw here. This happens to be T10s on this model, which is kind of funny that this one here is T10s. And again, that is straight up spinning on me. So you need 2 of them. And here I have a second T10. So if we get on this side here and this side here, which is like a balancing act, can I get this apart? Oh, and you can't go doing that to a customer's knife. You send it back with scratches, you own it. So this is kind of like dodgy business here. Oh, this sucks. I don't like this. This is driving me nuts. And as legit, I mean, I do this all the time. And I definitely do not struggle like this to get knives apart. Oh! Oh, what a pain. I mean, you literally have to like balance the knife. How else do you do this, right? Like hold it in place like this and like get that on there. You forget it. Barra Scooter will stay. The tour tank, I'm not even going to damage it because I like it and it functions perfectly. So I'm just going to ignore this one and get into the boa. So the boa, let's see here. Again, we're going to have T7s. My T6, I think, is still okay. Nope. That's spinning on me. I'm like out of bits. T8 on the pivot screw. Just spinning on me. I've had it. I'm not wrecking anything more. I am coming to a quick conclusion that this is not going to work. And so, quite honestly, this is not the way that most of my videos go. I usually don't hit a wall. I usually don't get to the end and really come to a lack of conclusion, although I do think this definitely got me to one level of conclusion. So first and foremost, I mean, I literally only could get maybe 2/3 of the way through disassembly here on this Empoleon, and at this point I have pretty much damaged the knife, or at least messed up the action to the point where it won't open. It does open, you know, obviously by pushing it open. I don't feel any blade play. I think I'm okay there. But I definitely damaged not only the knife, but severely damaged my bits to the point where this is no longer any good. So, I mean, a nice Weehaw driver here. I haven't had problems with these in the past. In fact, these are my service tools, which at this point I need to throw away and buy brand new ones. So these are done. I started wrecking my Leatherman bits, which, you know, I'm not too thrilled at. And again, I do rely on these. So bottom line is, whatever they're using to assemble these, pretty much, in my opinion, has to stop. Because if you're anything like me, you rely on taking your knife apart, and you have to be able to do it efficiently, effectively, without damage. And, you know, now, and it's very minor, but I do have a couple of scuffs on this Barra Scooter. Now, keep in mind that I do work on very high-end knives. You know, I'm not at this point completely sure what the price point of this particular knife is. However, I mean, looking at it here, it's nice and all, but at the same time, D2 tool steel, an alloy liner, has some carbon fiber. I mean, I have to work on knives that are, you know, full titanium, Damascus, very nice screws and hardware, and you have to be able to service your knife. That's bottom line. So my conclusion today is not a lack of conclusion, but one that for me just has to go back to Shieldon Knives to say, you know, this definitely has to be remedied. My personal opinion is that, you know, damaging tools and your screws is not a good thing. And I'm sure all of you agree. So, like I said, unfortunately today did not go the way as planned. I really wanted to see the inside of these knives, but at this point, I just simply can't do it. So, all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. Hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.